I want to tell you something that took me a long time to say out loud. 12 years of medical training, thousands of patients, hundreds of cardiology consultations, and yet the most important cardiovascular lesson of my career did not come from a textbook, a conference, or a research paper. It came from a Tuesday morning, a phone call I almost did not answer, and a patient I had known for 6 years who nearly died doing something she genuinely believed was keeping her healthy. Her name was Margaret, 71 years old, retired schoolteacher, sharp, disciplined, health conscious in every way you would admire. She exercised, she watched what she ate, she took her medications without fail. By every standard measure, she was doing everything right. But Margaret had a morning routine, a routine she had built carefully over 2 years after reading wellness articles and watching health videos online. She was proud of it. She told me about it at every appointment. Wake up at 6, cold shower immediately. She called it her morning reset. Then straight to her stationary bike for 45 minutes of intense cardio. Strong black coffee before breakfast. Up and moving the moment the alarm went off. No wasted time, no lying around. She called it her longevity routine. On that Tuesday morning, her daughter found her collapsed on the bathroom floor, cold water still running, heart in a dangerous arrhythmia, ambulance, emergency room, 2 days in cardiac intensive care. Margaret survived. But sitting beside her bed 2 days later, watching monitors track every heartbeat, I asked myself a question I had never asked before. How many of my patients are doing the exact same things Margaret was doing? How many people watching health content, reading wellness advice, genuinely trying to take care of themselves, are unknowingly stacking morning habits that create a perfect cardiovascular storm in a body over 60? The answer, after reviewing the research, after conversations with colleagues in cardiology and chronobiology, after looking at the morning routines of over 200 of my own senior patients, was devastating. Most of them. Most of them were making at least 2 or 3 of the same mistakes Margaret made, and almost none of them had any idea. My name is Dr. Nyra. I specialize in senior cardiovascular health and preventive wellness, and today I am going to walk you through 5 specific morning habits that are medically documented to place enormous stress on the aging heart, habits that feel healthy, productive, or completely harmless, but that can, in the wrong body at the wrong moment, become the final trigger for a cardiac event. I will explain the biology behind each one in plain language. I will tell you what to watch for, and at the end, I will give you a safe, practical morning protocol you can begin tomorrow. Before we go any further, write in the comments right now. What is the very first thing you do after your alarm goes off? Be completely honest, because your answer might tell me more about your cardiovascular risk than your last blood pressure reading. Before I give you the 5 habits, I need to give you the foundation. Because without understanding what your body is already going through in the first 60 minutes after waking, none of what I am about to share will fully land. The moment your eyes open in the morning, your body does not wake up gently. It launches. Your brain detects the shift from sleep to wakefulness and immediately triggers a cascade of hormonal changes designed to prepare you for the demands of the day. Cortisol, your primary stress hormone, surges by 50 to 60% within the first 15 to 30 minutes of waking. This is not a gentle rise. This is a sharp, dramatic spike that forces your heart rate up, raises your blood pressure, and constricts your blood vessels. At the same time, your autonomic nervous system transitions from parasympathetic mode, the calm rest and digest state of sleep, to sympathetic mode, fight or flight. Adrenaline enters your bloodstream. Your blood pressure climbs 10 to 20 points within minutes. And here is the third element of this morning storm that most people never think about. After 7 to 8 hours without drinking anything, you are dehydrated. Your blood volume has decreased overnight through breathing and perspiration, but the number of cells and particles in your blood, red blood cells, platelets, clotting factors, has stayed the same. The result is blood that is thicker, stickier, and significantly more prone to forming clots. This is what I call the morning cardiovascular danger zone. Elevated cortisol, elevated adrenaline, elevated blood pressure, thick, clot-prone blood, all happening simultaneously every single morning. In a younger cardiovascular system, the body handles this storm remarkably well. The arteries are elastic, the pressure sensors are responsive, the heart has significant reserve capacity. But after 60, after decades of cardiovascular work, naturally stiffer arteries, reduced elasticity, and the very real possibility of silent coronary disease that has never caused a symptom. This morning storm requires something very specific from you: respect and careful, deliberate choices about what you do in that first hour. Here's the statistic that stopped me when I first read it. Heart attacks are 40% more likely to occur in the morning hours than at any other time of day. Strokes are 49% more likely. Sudden cardiac death peaks between 6 and 10 in the morning. This is not coincidence. This is biology, and understanding it is the first step to protecting yourself. The first habit is something the vast majority of people do every single morning without a second thought. And it is something many of us are quietly proud of because culturally we associate it with discipline, productivity, and not wasting time. Jumping out of bed the moment the alarm goes off, eyes open, alarm silenced, legs over the side of the bed, standing, moving, all within seconds. It feels efficient. It feels like the right way to start a day. But for a cardiovascular system over 60, this sudden transition from horizontal to vertical can trigger a genuinely dangerous physiological response. Here's what is happening in your body. After 7 to 8 hours lying flat, your blood has distributed itself evenly throughout your body. There is no gravitational pull in any direction. Your heart is working at minimal effort. Everything is in a state of equilibrium. The moment you stand up abruptly, gravity immediately pulls up to 1 full liter of blood downward into the veins of your legs and lower abdomen. 1 liter, redistributed in seconds. Your heart suddenly has significantly less blood available to pump to your brain. In a younger body, pressure sensors called baroreceptors detect this drop instantly and instruct the heart to beat faster and the blood vessels to constrict to compensate. The adjustment is so rapid and seamless that you never feel it happening. But after 60, these baroreceptors become slower and less sensitive. There is a lag, sometimes several seconds, between the drop in blood pressure and the compensatory response. During that lag, your brain is receiving less blood than it needs. You feel it as dizziness, as blurred vision, as a momentary weakness in your legs. This is called orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure upon standing, and it is far more common in older adults than most people realize. But here is the part that concerns me most as a cardiologist. When the body finally recognizes the blood pressure drop and initiates its emergency response, it does not correct gently. It overcorrects. A surge of adrenaline is released. The heart is instructed to beat harder and faster, very rapidly, against the resistance of constricted blood vessels. This sudden, violent demand on the heart, going from the minimal effort of sleep to a forced, high-intensity state in seconds, can trigger dangerous arrhythmias in a heart that is already navigating the morning hormonal storm. And this is before you have done anything else, before coffee, before exercise, before anything. Margaret told me afterward that she had been feeling slightly dizzy in the mornings for months. She thought nothing of it. She assumed it was just being groggy. She never mentioned it to me. The core principle is this: when your alarm goes off, stay lying down for 30 to 60 seconds. Breathe. Let your nervous system register the transition gradually. Then sit up slowly and remain seated on the edge of the bed for another 60 seconds. Move your ankles in gentle circles to activate the calf muscle pumps that help return blood to your heart. Only then, slowly, stand up. Those 2 minutes cost you nothing, and they may be the most important 2 minutes of your day. Tell me in the comments. Do you jump up the moment your alarm goes off? Or do you take time to wake up gradually? The second habit is perhaps the most universally common of all five, and yet it is one that almost no one connects to cardiovascular risk, going directly from bed to coffee, to the bathroom, to the phone, to breakfast, without drinking water first. Most people are mildly aware that they are somewhat dehydrated in the morning. What most people do not understand is the specific way that morning dehydration affects the heart and the blood. During 7 to 8 hours of sleep, your body loses fluid continuously. Every breath releases moisture, perspiration continues at a low level throughout the night. By the time you wake up, your blood volume has decreased, sometimes by as much as 1 to 2%, while the concentration of cells and particles in your blood has remained the same. The result is a condition called hemoconcentration. Your blood becomes thicker, more viscous, more prone to clotting. Think of the difference between water flowing through a pipe and honey flowing through the same pipe. The pump, your heart, has to generate dramatically more pressure to move the thicker fluid. The work demand on your heart increases significantly at precisely the moment when it is already under maximum stress from the morning cortisol and adrenaline surge. But increased workload is not even the most dangerous aspect of hemoconcentration. The most dangerous aspect is what it does to your platelets. Platelets are the tiny blood cells responsible for clot formation. In thicker, more concentrated blood, platelets become stickier and more reactive. They clump together more easily, and if there is any instability in the plaque that lines the walls of your coronary arteries, which is extremely common in adults over 60, often completely silently, these sticky platelets can pile up at the site of that instability and form a clot that grows until it completely blocks blood flow to part of the heart muscle. This is precisely how most heart attacks begin, not with a sudden rupture, not with a dramatic event, with a clot forming on an unstable plaque, in thick, concentrated morning blood. The research on this is unambiguous. The peak window for heart attacks and strokes aligns almost exactly with the window of maximum morning hemoconcentration, before most people have consumed any fluid. Place a large glass of room temperature water on your nightstand before you go to sleep. Make drinking it, all of it, 300 to 400 milliliters, your absolute first action upon waking, before your phone, before coffee, before the bathroom if you can manage it. Within minutes, you are diluting your blood, reducing viscosity, lowering the clotting risk, decreasing the workload on your heart. 400 milliliters of water is doing more for your cardiovascular safety in those early morning minutes than almost anything else you could do. The third habit is one I approach carefully because I know how deeply personal the morning coffee ritual is. I am not here to tell you to give up coffee. I drink coffee myself. But I need to tell you something about the timing and the circumstances of how you drink it, because for adults over 60, getting this wrong can have serious cardiovascular consequences. Drinking strong coffee, especially espresso or concentrated coffee, as your first consumption of the day, on a completely empty stomach, in the first 30 minutes after waking. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant. When it enters your bloodstream, it triggers a significant release of adrenaline from your adrenal glands. It directly accelerates your heart rate. It causes vasoconstriction, narrowing of your blood vessels, which raises blood pressure acutely and substantially. Now remember the context. Your body is already in the morning danger zone. Cortisol is already elevated. Adrenaline is already elevated. Blood pressure is already higher than it will be at any other point in the day. Your blood is still thick from overnight dehydration. Adding a caffeine surge on top of this existing storm is not the same as drinking coffee in the afternoon when your cardiovascular system is stable. It is adding a powerful stimulant to a system that is already operating at maximum stress capacity. And when coffee is consumed on an empty stomach, the absorption is dramatically accelerated. There is no food present to slow the absorption rate. Caffeine reaches peak concentration in your bloodstream in 15 to 20 minutes, rather than the 30 to 60 minutes it would take if consumed with food. This means the cardiovascular impact is sharper, faster, and more intense. Blood pressure can spike by 20 to 40 points within minutes of that first cup on an empty stomach. For a heart navigating the morning hormonal storm, that spike can push blood pressure into ranges that place direct stress on arterial walls that in older adults have less elasticity and less ability to accommodate sudden pressure changes. If you cannot imagine a morning without coffee, the modification is simple. Hydrate first, eat something first, even something small, a banana, a handful of nuts, a piece of whole grain toast. Then have your coffee. That food in your stomach slows absorption, reduces the peak concentration of caffeine in your blood, and significantly softens the cardiovascular impact. The fourth habit requires the most careful handling, and because it involves something that is genuinely good for cardiovascular health. Exercise. And what I am about to say is not a reason to stop exercising. It is a reason to think carefully about when and how you exercise. For many health-conscious adults over 60, the morning workout is a source of pride. Straight out of bed and onto the treadmill, early morning run before the neighborhood wakes up, 6 a.m. fitness class. The intention is exactly right. The timing for the aging cardiovascular system can be genuinely dangerous. Your body in the first 60 to 90 minutes after waking is already under significant hormonal stress. Cortisol is elevated, adrenaline is elevated, blood pressure is elevated, blood viscosity is elevated. Your arteries, which have been in a low activity state for 8 hours, have not yet fully dilated and warmed up for vigorous activity. Adding intense exercise to a system that is already operating at elevated stress compounds, risk factors in a way that the aging cardiovascular system is specifically less equipped to handle than a younger one. The particular danger is silent coronary artery disease, narrowing of the arteries that supply the heart muscle itself with blood. This condition is extraordinarily common in adults over 60. Many people have significant coronary narrowing that has never caused a single symptom. Intense early morning exercise in a dehydrated state with elevated cortisol and adrenaline and blood pressure already elevated can push oxygen demand past what narrowed coronary vessels can supply. The result is myocardial ischemia. The heart muscle is not receiving enough oxygen, and this is the condition under which the most dangerous arrhythmias develop. Margaret was on her stationary bike 40 minutes after waking, dehydrated, on an empty stomach. After a cold shower that had already spiked her blood pressure and heart rate dramatically. She had been doing it for 2 years, and her heart, finally, could not absorb one more morning of it. The solution is not to stop exercising. The solution is to wait. Give your body 2 to 3 hours after waking before engaging in intense cardiovascular exercise. Hydrate thoroughly first. Eat a light meal first. Allow your morning cortisol and adrenaline to normalize. Allow your arteries to warm up and dilate. If your schedule genuinely requires early morning movement, keep the intensity gentle. A walk, light stretching, or yoga in the early morning is a very different cardiovascular demand than running or high-intensity interval training. The fifth habit is the one I want you to lean in for. This is the one I did not expect to find when I started looking. The one that surprised me. The one that, when I think about Margaret collapsed on her bathroom floor with cold water running, was the very first thing that happened in her morning. Before the coffee, before the bike, cold shower exposure immediately upon waking. I want to be very precise about what I am saying. There is genuine scientific evidence for certain benefits of cold exposure in certain populations under certain conditions. I am not dismissing that research. What I am telling you is specific. Cold shower exposure immediately upon waking in an adult over 60 whose cardiovascular system is already in the morning danger zone carries a cardiovascular risk that is not discussed nearly enough. When cold water contacts your skin, particularly your chest and torso, your body interprets it as an emergency threat to core temperature. The response is immediate and extreme. Thousands of small blood vessels in your skin and extremities constrict simultaneously and dramatically. They do not constrict gradually. They close rapidly, like pressure valves slamming shut. All the blood flowing through those peripheral vessels is instantly rerouted into the central circulation. The volume of blood your heart must pump through a suddenly narrower network of vessels increases dramatically, and the pressure required to pump it rises accordingly. Studies measuring blood pressure response to cold water immersion document systolic pressure increases of 20 to 40 points within seconds. In individuals with existing hypertension or reduced arterial elasticity, both extremely common after 60, those numbers can be even higher. Consider what this means in the context of the morning danger zone. Your blood pressure is already elevated from the morning cortisol surge. Your blood is already thick from overnight dehydration. Your heart is already working harder than it will at any other point in the day. And then cold water hits your chest and blood pressure spikes an additional 20 to 40 points in seconds. For arteries that are already under elevated pressure, already less elastic, and potentially already harboring unstable plaque, this sudden extreme pressure spike is a genuine rupture risk. Margaret had been experiencing palpitations during her cold showers for several weeks before she collapsed. She told me afterward. She had interpreted them as her body adapting and getting stronger. They were warnings. If you are over 60 and you currently take cold showers immediately upon waking, I am asking you, gently but directly, to reconsider. If you want the potential benefits of cold exposure, begin with lukewarm water. Reduce temperature very gradually over many weeks. Always direct cooler water to extremities first, feet, hands, never beginning with cold water directly on the chest. And if you experience palpitations, dizziness, or chest discomfort during or after a shower, bring that to your doctor immediately. If you have made it this far and this information is resonating with you, type the number 5 in the comments. Before I give you the morning protection protocol, I need to take one moment that is not optional. Please contact your doctor promptly if you are noticing any of the following: regular dizziness or lightheadedness upon standing in the morning, palpitations, the feeling of your heart skipping, fluttering, or beating unusually during or after morning activities, any chest discomfort, pressure, or tightness in the morning hours, even mild, unusual shortness of breath with morning activities that did not previously cause breathlessness, morning headaches that feel different from ordinary headaches, and please call emergency services without hesitation if you experience chest pain, significant shortness of breath, sudden severe headache, facial drooping, arm weakness, or difficulty speaking at any point. These are not things to watch and wait on. Please act on them immediately. Now, let me give you something you can actually use beginning tomorrow morning. I call this the 5-minute heart protection protocol. Every single step is specifically designed to work with the biology of the aging cardiovascular system rather than against it. Step 1, the awakening breath. 1 minute. When your alarm sounds, do not move. Stay lying down. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Hold gently for 4 counts. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 counts, making the exhale longer than the inhale. Repeat this 5 times. This breathing pattern directly activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It moderates the cortisol spike. It signals to your cardiovascular system that there is no emergency. Step 2, the hydration minute. 1 minute. Sit up slowly. Remain seated on the edge of your bed. Do not stand yet. Drink the full glass of room temperature water you placed on your nightstand the night before. All of it. Every drop. You are immediately beginning to reverse overnight hemoconcentration. Your blood is becoming more fluid as you sit there. Your cardiovascular workload is dropping in real time. Step 3, the circulation minute. 1 minute. Still seated on the edge of the bed, move your ankles in slow circles. 10 rotations in each direction. Press your feet flat against the floor and lift your heels. Alternate 10 times. These movements activate the calf muscle pumps, large muscles in your lower legs that act as a secondary heart, pushing blood back up toward your core against gravity. Step 4. The gentle activation minute. 1 minute. Remaining seated, slowly turn your head side to side 5 times. Roll your shoulders backward 5 times. Reach both arms gently above your head and hold for 5 seconds. Do slow, gentle side stretches left and right. These gentle movements send oxygenated blood to muscles that have been dormant during sleep. They warm up your cardiovascular system in a safe, graduated way. Step 5. The transition minute. 1 minute. Now, slowly stand. Pause for 5 seconds while standing. Notice whether you feel any dizziness or lightheadedness. If you do, sit back down and wait another minute. If you feel stable, begin walking slowly, not rushing, not checking your phone while moving, giving your full attention to this final transition. 5 minutes, 5 steps, and your heart has been given something it absolutely deserves. A respectful, graduated, physiologically appropriate transition from rest into activity. Drink water before coffee, eat before your first cup, wait 2 to 3 hours before intense exercise, replace cold showers with warm or lukewarm water in the morning hours. These are not dramatic lifestyle overhauls. They are small, specific modifications that directly address the biology we have discussed today. Margaret is doing well. 18 months after her cardiac event, she follows a modified morning routine: gradual waking, water first, warm shower, light breakfast before her coffee, exercise in the late morning rather than at dawn. She told me at her last appointment, and I want to share this with you exactly as she said it. "I thought I was being healthy, Victoria. I had no idea I was fighting against my own body every single morning." That is the conversation I wanted to have with you today. Not to frighten you, not to make you afraid of mornings or of your own body, but to give you the specific knowledge that changes how you move through the most vulnerable cardiovascular window of your day. You are not simply getting older, you are navigating a biology that has specific, real, manageable needs. And you now know what those needs are. None of what I shared today requires a specialist or a prescription. It requires knowledge, which you now have, and the willingness to treat your heart with the same care it has given you every single day of your life without ever asking for anything in return. If this video gave you something valuable today, please subscribe. I create content like this every week, practical, evidence-based, and designed specifically for the health realities of adults over 60. Leave a comment below and tell me which of the 5 habits you are currently making. No judgment here, just honest awareness, because awareness is always where the change begins. And there is a video coming very soon on the 5 most important things to discuss with your cardiologist at your next appointment, including the specific tests most doctors do not routinely order, but that provide critical insight for adults over 60. That is a conversation you will not want to miss. Take good care of yourselves. Your heart has been working for you every moment of your life. Now it is your turn to work for it. I will see you in the next one.